Welcome to the Buck Stops here, the official podcast of NotInHallOfFame.com, and I'm your host, The Buck, Kirk Buckner, owner-operator of NotInHallOfFame.com and its sister sites, the Fictitious Athlete Hall of Fame and the Fictitious Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Today we're going to be looking at the Pro Football Hall of Fame because we're narrowing down on the finalists. We're not actually going to look at the finalists today, but we are going to go back to the Blue Ribbon Committee in the Centennial slate class. With me, as always, will be Vinny Lospinuso, the wonderkind who knows more about the Pro Football Hall of Fame than probably the people who are running the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Without further ado, here's Vinny, and I hope you enjoy the show. Vinny, how you doing? My apologies first off, because we did this about a week ago, but technology sort of finds its way, and we're redoing this. It's a little bit later than I wanted to have this out, as we're looking at the Centennial slate finalists, but maybe that's not the worst thing, because now I've had a little bit more time to digest. How are you feeling about that?
I think it's fine too, and even though I'm loving the class as is, I do have a lot of things to say, and buckle up for a wild ride because you're going to see a lot of emotions.
No, I'm counting on it. That's why you're here. So let's just go right to it. There was 10 players out of the Centennial slate of finalists, and one thing that you and I agree with completely is, I don't want to say that no matter who it was, that's maybe a little general, but there were 20 excellent finalists that they had. So whatever 10 that they came up with, I was going to be happy for all 10 of them. There was certainly not the 10 I would have picked. I think you would say the same thing. But yeah, I can't be unhappy that these 10 men are now part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
No issue at all. I love every single one of these men, and now, granted, some may have had a little bit higher than others, but at the same time, I'm happy that they all have it, and that doesn't mean I'm going to forget about the other ones that made it the finals, because I'm not going to forget those, and whoever is, you're a joke.
Yeah, no, never say it's a joke. Never. That's my big bugaboo.
No. Like I say, hey, if you want to forget those guys that were just finals the year before, yeah, you're a joke.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so let's just go alphabetically, and I'm just going to go alphabetically from the finalists, not necessarily who got in, but just the finalists and go from an alphabetical point of view. First one was Cliff Branch. He did not get in.
Raiders fans were upset about him, not as much as the other guy that I mentioned, but they were very mad with Cliff Branch, especially because he died on the day of the induction ceremony last year. He died on the day of it. Can you imagine how upset those fans were? I mean, granted, we know about you and I both know that we have had our fair share of feelings for Raiders fans, but at the same time, Jesus Christ, he died just 1 year before, and you don't have him in, it just looks very, very bad. And, I actually thought Branch had a good chance of making it this year. I thought he would make it. And
no, it's funny, because you and I sometimes, offline, we talk about not just football, we in sports, but sometimes we talk politics. And we talk about Trump derangement syndrome. I think there's a bit of Rangers, nice Kirk. I've been watching hockey. Raiders derangement syndrome.
Oh, yeah, it does feel that way because, Raiders fans think, now, there's a bit of truth to this. They have not forgotten the fact that they will not forget to tell you that Ken Stabler made it after he died. He will not forget to tell you that. They will not forget to tell you that.
They're right on that one, though. They're right on that one.
They are right. And they are right that Branch died before he had a chance. Mm-hmm. That is also true. It's also Pandanos. However, they seem to think this only happens with Raiders.
True. Very true.
But I should also mention this, and I am not going to hold back my anger with this one. Ken Stabler's daughter is still pretty furious with the Hall because they have this BS policy that if you get inducted posthumously, the family does not get the gold jacket nor the ring. That is unacceptable by any stretch of the imagination because even though you would get the bus, that's cool and all, but understand this. If you get inducted and then you die later, okay, but the family still is able to cherish the blazer, jacket, whatever, and the ring. they can't even hold that and treasure that. Instead, they feel a bit slighted, and I can understand if they feel that way, especially Ken Stabler's family, who, as you know, Raiders fans feel like they've been screwed over by Paul Zimmerman, especially. I mean, he's not there anymore because he's also dead, but I completely agree with him. And this is where I say tradition's fine, but in some cases tradition is what it is: peer pressure by dead people.
And I totally agree with you with what you're saying. There's tradition, and then there's just being a good person. What is it costing you to sort of like give a blazer and a ring? Not that much. You're not the Basketball Hall of Fame that's broke. You're the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You're making money. You are a very healthy organization. You can afford to do this. It's good PR. Like, why not?
It's a very... I mean, hell, Broncos fans were literally they were very, very worried that, hey, Pat Bowlen might not get his jacket or his ring because he died before the induction, but they made an exception because he was alive after his election, so it was okay. But
all right, I'm gonna be an asshole here, Vinny. Let's just say he was still alive. It's not like he'd know what the hell he got.
To be fair, yeah, but for the family, I'm referring to.
Yeah, I know. As someone who's a son of someone with Alzheimer's, I thought I could make that joke. Maybe I can't. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, when it comes to like the families, I mean, I understand about the players, but understand the families of these people. I mean, yeah, the other guys, there were many other people that got in that were also dead. Mm-hmm. The families of those people could really use a jacket and a ring as well. They would love to have that. Just to treasure their father, their grandfather, or even their great grandfather.
Yeah, and I think to that point too, Vinny, because you and I were both people who we follow this like very, very strongly, and we've noticed, and we've talked about this, how some of the people who are really banging this hard for people who have been deceased, or not necessarily always the case. It's the sons or the daughters. So like Alicia Kramer for Jerry Kramer. And Jerry Kramer's still alive, and thankfully they were both alive to see that. Clay Matthews' daughter is super active on that. Also Winston Hills' daughter, not as active, but still. I mean, like, what does that mean to them individually, and what does it cost you as an institution? Not a goddamn thing.
No, it really doesn't. And, we spoiled it. Winston Hill did make it along with 9 others. Winston Hill died 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And even though the family's happy to get it, they're not going to get that jacket, and they're not going to get that ring. They're just not. And they have every right to be pissed off about that. I agree with them because, hey, you make a lot of money. Many people come to your site. Just think about the people that come there and understand that these aren't robots. These are actual people with real emotions. I can understand maybe at the time that they would accept it, but at the same time, we live in an era of social media. We also live in an environment in which the people actually have more of a voice now, and they're able to show you how they're feeling. And if they're pissed off or they feel screwed, they have every right to say it. Especially when you are worth a lot, and people, literally, a lot of people, that's their livelihood, and they care so much about this because they want to see the family happy. They want to see the people happy. Mm-hmm. And people like Cliff Branch, who, he still didn't make it, and the family's not going to get it. And for the ones that were inducted that are not going to get it, like Slater, Sprinkle, Karras, Speedy, Hill, and Bobby Dillon, who also died last year. Mm-hmm. And the family's not going to get it.
Well, do we know whether they're not going to, or is that just was Bowlen a one-off, or are they going to look at this in the future?
With Bowlen, it's because of him. It's because he was elected, he died, and then he was inducted. All these guys
I get it. So they're going with the era of, like, because he got inducted in between the time he died before his enshrinement, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Got it. Okay. All right. So we'll move on because obviously we were both super passionate. We got to calm down. Which, although if I'm going alphabetical, this isn't the best way for me to go. Next one is Harold Carmichael, who did get in, and I'm happy for him. But all right. So Vinny, you and I talked about this. You and I both watched the NFL Network's program for that, and I love NFL Network. I love you. But whoever was the producer, fuck you. Because you dragged this on for 2 hours, and clearly there was a certain hierarchy. You're trying to make everything all about television, which we're going to go more about with the coaches. I don't want to go into too much further because I'm very happy for Harold Carmichael. Great player, worthy Hall of Famer. But
definitely, no question. My friends who are Eagles fans, they said Carmichael's the guy I want. I want to see Carmichael. I want to see Carmichael.
Yeah.
And they got Carmichael, and they felt a lot of emotion. They were driven to tears because of his call, and they deserve it because they really want to Harold Carmichael. And hell, this was the tallest wide receiver in NFL history.
Is he still?
This guy was. No, he was.
But is he still?
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Okay. So, what tall, short, whatever, he was good, and that's all that matters.
He was amazing. He was on the All-Decade team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He might not have been first team All-Decade, but he still made the All-Decade team. We'll get to that other guy shortly.
Yeah, and he's alive to see it, and I'm happy for him. I'll go back to him a little bit later because, and I think you know where I'm going with that. So next, alphabetically, Jim Covert got in, a finalist got in. For me personally, out of all the ones out of the 20 finalists, that's the one I didn't think was going to get in. If I was to be told which one of these 20 won't get in, I would have picked Covert. He's in, but again, like I said, I'm not unhappy because they're all excellent.
Now, there was one reason as to why I probably wanted Covert in.
What was that?
There's this one guy that keeps acting all pumping and so arrogant. He was saying how he knew everything about the Bears because he watches every single Bears game, and therefore he knows that Hilgenberg's better. You don't understand things, and, I actually watch it, therefore I know more. And also, hey, just because Walter Payton said that he was phenomenal doesn't mean it's real, because for some reason he equated it to how, Bill Polian said that Lamar Jackson should be a wide receiver, therefore Walter Payton and Lawrence Taylor aren't legitimate in their statements on him. And apparently, once you make it a 2-time Lineman of the Year, that's also illegitimate for some reason. I don't know what goes to that guy's head. And guess what? Eat humble pie. I won.
Yeah, I'm very happy for Covert. I am. And he's alive to see it. This is fantastic. The Bears, for me, I don't know about yourself, because obviously I'm way older than you because I'm older than fuck. But yeah, thank you for agreeing with that and not stopping me and saying, hey, Kirk, you're not that old. But no, it's okay. In my lifetime, the 85 Bears were the best team I ever saw. And
they were.
Yeah. For him to get in, I think it's fantastic. I don't think he got enough due when he was playing. I think a big part of that he was a lunch pail guy, and the funny thing is, on that line that he was in, the guy who got the most attention was William Perry. Good player, far from a Hall of Famer.
Not even close.
No, not even close, but it's still a good player. But
yeah.
But Covert's getting his due. He's going to have that jacket. He's going to be able to do a speech. And that is so fantastic. And from what I know of Perry's probably super happy for him.
Yeah, and, now you have Covert in, and, everyone is here. I mean, every single first-team All-Decade member of the 80s for offense and defense, special teams not included, unfortunately. Offense and defense, everyone on first team is in. Everyone.
Oh, everyone. Oh, from that. Really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Everyone is here. Yeah, that's everyone.
Not Roger Craig, because that's next. Was he not one of those teams?
He was on the second team, not the first team.
Second team, okay. Because that's next alphabetically. That's sort of my football passion project. You and I were talking offline about my basketball passion project of Chris Webber. Roger Craig is the one I wanted in really, really, really bad. He's not. He is a precursor to a lot of the modern offense. Having said that, he's going to get his due eventually. That's what I believe.
Oh, I think so too. And I think, I wasn't even sure that Craig would even make it as the finalist because I thought they would probably wait even longer because he was just made it as a semifinalist just a couple of years ago. But either way, I don't care. Roger Craig was a finalist. I didn't care. But I thought he might make it just at a running back. Having said that, I'm also not that upset because I do think, his time will come eventually. I really do feel. I honestly think all these guys will make it very, very shortly.
Too. Yep.
And as for Craig, hey, missed it, but at the same time, at least one guy from the 80s All-Becky team. Then, and if it had to be a first teamer or a second teamer, you'd probably go with the first teamer.
Mm-hmm. All right, so next alphabetically from the Green Bay Packers, Bobby Dillon, the one-eyed ball hawk. He got in.
Yep, that was the guy I was saying.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. He just passed away in the last little while, no?
Yeah, he died. Same thing with Branch. He died just a year before he was inducted.
Okay.
Just a year before he was elected. So that just 1 year shy, and now the family can't get his. For now, please change that in the future, and I think eventually they will because eventually I do think the backlash is going to come hard, and I'll make sure that happens.
They very well might. They might before this is all said and done. We don't know. I hope so.
Yeah, they should. I mean, Bobby Dillon, this guy had as many interceptions as Jack Butler, and Dillon played one less season than him, and he had one less eye.
One less eye. That's the best line ever. One less season and one less eye. It's kind of like a C movie. But yeah, I'm very happy for Bobby Dillon. The one, though, sort of again, continuing alphabetically, I thought Lavi Dilweg was a lock.
I thought so, too. I personally think that Dill would probably split votes with another Packer, Llewellyn, which we'll talk about just a bit. But Dilweg, now that my most wanted is in, I'll talk about him. Dilweg or maybe Heffelfinger are like 1A and 1B for now my most wanted for Canton because I'm very strongly about Heffelfinger, as you know, and he was basically your Reuben Brown of the top 300. But Dilweg, I know that I didn't think you'd get so passionate about Dilweg either. Because you can get
you were a big part of that.
Damn, and now Dilweg, is he gonna go higher in your ranking or
Not sure. Well, he's pretty high right now. At this point, I've sort of got to wait on that. At this point, it's also third on the whole re-ranking priority because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is just on that. The Baseball Hall of Fame has, and then the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This is my sort of, this is the busiest time of my life. Re-ranking all this stuff.
It is crazy, and Dilweg, some people might be saying, "Oh, I guess they won't have any chance in the future." You don't know that for sure.
No, I disagree. Anyone who says that, I think you're totally wrong. I think they're going to have great chances.
I think so too, because this is going to increase now. If these guys don't make it, I will have a major issue, and I will call them out on that. Especially considering that Ken Crippen, the guy that runs the Pro Football Research Association and the very good, he is working hard and very, very actively to try to get these guys like Dilweg and Heffelfinger and a few of these other names more attention. Yeah. And I think he will be successful, and I'll make sure that he is.
And actually, while you're bringing that up, with the Hall of Very, Very Good, this is not just a group that sort of wants to look at a second tier. They have done a fantastic job of saying, okay, this is a Hall of Very Good, but here are a few people, and again, just a very few that they want to see go to the upper level. And for them to sort of come up with an endorsement, it's not like nothing. That means something in my eyes. I
no,
imagine you think the same.
If it wasn't for their strong endorsement of Duke Slater, he would not have been my most wanted. I can tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I read a lot of what they had to say about Slater, Zellweg, and actually the next guy I've got, Ox Emerson.
Yeah, that's a guy that they actually also endorsed pretty heavily as well.
Mm-hmm. Did not get in, but is that not like? And I love names. Is Ox Emerson not like one of the best football names you've ever heard in your life?
Well, his real name's actually Grover.
Don't care. Don't get. No, stop. His name is Ox.
Well, Ox is a lot cooler than saying Grover, because whenever I think of Grover, I think of the character from Sesame Street.
Yeah, so do I. So his name is Ox. Ox Emerson is awesome. Grover Emerson, not so much.
Well, it just doesn't sound intimidating. But, Ox Emerson played for the Detroit Lions, and he was a unanimous six-time All-Pro. I mean, can you imagine being an All-Pro, unanimously first team for 6 years in a row? That's unheard of. That is absolutely unheard of. In the 1930s of all time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
In the 1930s, everyone agreed he's the best lineman there is. No question. He's the best lineman. And they said that completely unanimously, no question.
Yeah, and I think he's going to get his due. The one who I felt actually second worst for, maybe 1A, 1B, coming up next. All right, Broncos conspiracy theorists come up. Randy Gradishar did not get in.
Oh, boy. We all love the Broncos fans. I mean, granted, they have more legitimate reason to be upset than Raiders fans, but man, those two fan bases literally fill out the comment section every single time anything Hall of Fame comes up. It is ridiculous. And Randy Gradishar missed it, and oh my God, it was like fire and brimstone.
Yeah, no, and I get it. I mean, I'm huge on Gradishar personally. The site is too. He's got, actually, for all the people who vote on the site, and for those just listening to this for the first time, there's 4 different categories you can do. Like, definitely put him in. Or pretty much, and then whatever, and then no, forget it. I'm paraphrasing. You'd think I'd know this because it's my damn site.
Yeah.
But I don't. Gradishar's got one of the highest, definitely put him in, votes of anything, right from the beginning. And he should. He's an incredible player. I wanted him in so bad. He's not.
I thought he would make it this year, too.
I did, too.
I really did think, because with the shit that the Broncos fans were getting, sorry for using, but the stuff the Broncos fans were getting with, Bolin dying just before his induction, and the fact that they were pushing crazy for Randy Gradishar, I thought for sure he would make it, and he didn't, and they reacted in the exact way that you would expect them to.
Yep.
Blaming others, saying that, it should just be the Hall of Steelers and Cowboys, even though they were completely oblivious that the biggest Cowboy omission actually missed it. But it doesn't matter, because they're just voicing their frustration, and they're saying, if he played for this team, he'd already be in, even though that's BS.
Right.
And it's just, there is no Hall of Fame voter that hated more than Jeff Legwold. I don't think he was a voter, but no one is more hated than him. I can easily say there's no Hall of Fame voter that's hated more than Jeff Legwold, because they see him as weak, they see him as ineffective, they see him as too passive, they see him as someone who hates the fan base. They do not have any kind words to say about the man at all.
Yeah. Sort of going with your segue, perfect segue. Cliff Harris, Dallas Cowboys, got in, and the Dallas Cowboys fan base didn't pay attention. We're going to get to why later.
I mean, Harris obviously was very, very deserving. He was a first-team All-Decade for the 70s. He won Defensive Player of the Year. He was a 6-time All-Pro. Very, very deserving guy. No questions at all. Perfectly fine. I would have put him in my vote as well.
Yeah, as I would. Same with the next guy, which surprises me that I'm not hearing more from the New York fan base. Winston Hills is in. Why are they not happier?
Because they want Joe Klecko.
Yeah, but Joe Klecko wasn't part of this. How can they not be happy that Winston Hills in? Winston Hill was an incredible player, a huge part of Super Bowl III, and nobody notices. Even in New York City. What am I missing?
Well, because the thing when it comes to them, it's like because they've just been hearing about Joe Klecko. I'm not hating on Joe Klecko, but if you look at Winston Hill's body of work, like an 8-time All-Pro, never missed a game in his career. He was an Iron Man. He was a reason for why the rushing attack of the Jets was so good. He was considered by many, including myself, as the best player from the AFL not in the Hall of Fame. Well, because Johnny Robinson obviously made it. And with Jets fans, they're like, where's Joe Klecko?
Yeah, where's Joe Klecko? Someone who doesn't have a ring.
Well, not only that, I actually do know where Joe Klecko is. He's at home watching TV probably at this very moment.
Maybe he's watching himself in Cannonball Run.
And it's a good chance. You know, I wouldn't be shocked if he watched his own stuff. I mean,
I would.
Again, this is nothing against Joe Klecko at all. I have literally nothing against Joe Klecko, but at the same time, Winston Hill, I don't know why they were like, oh, okay. Like, they didn't care. Like, okay, where's Joe Klecko? I said, hello, Winston Hill made it. Hello, Winston Hill.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, like, that was, for me, my most pleasant surprise. Because I thought he was deserving. I didn't think he was going to get in, but I'm very happy for him. Sadly, it's also posthumous, but I guess we'll move on. Cecil Isbell did not make it. I thought he had a pretty good shot, but he will.
Yeah. I hope he makes it in the future because he is literally the only quarterback on any All-Decade team that's not in the Hall of Fame, and he played a very integral role to Shirley Lambeau's offense.
So, and we'll be talking about him again. For me, another one that I was very, very happy about, Alex Karras, Detroit Lions. Like, and I did not see enough on social media, like, touting this. Like, come on, Karras is a legend. He was not just a legend in football. This man crossed over. There's very few athletes that crossed over to sort of Hollywood, and he did. Why are we not hearing more about this?
Well, funny enough, I'm pretty sure there's probably some people that said, "Oh, he only made it because he was in TV, he was in the media." Well, no, not really for Karras, because it took him literally so long to make it to this point, and he was a 9-time All-Pro.
I will maintain that was his whole media thing, because that happened in an era before a lot of these pro athletes, I don't care what sport you're talking about, football, basketball, whatnot, actually crossed over. Karras was the first. Well, not the first, but he was one of the first. Yeah, very much so. And for anyone listening to this, please watch Blazing Saddles. Just go to YouTube and just see a clip of Mongo Blazing Saddles. That's all you need. And yeah, I sent you that, didn't I?
Yeah. I've seen it. I do like his acting. He also was part of Monday Night Football, if I recall.
No, he was. Yeah, he was one of those. He was one of the commentators on Monday Night Football. I read the Howard Cosell book so many years ago, and from what I recall from what Cosell was saying, Karras was just one of those guys. He just, I won't say didn't give a shit, but he just did whatever he wanted to do. Like, super intelligent, just not necessarily all about the entertainment, which I respect, but, just wanted to be real, and if it was entertaining at the same time, great. And Alex Karras should have seen this years ago, and you and I talked about that, how he was probably punished a bit for Hollywood, B, a bit for the gambling scandal, although they didn't care about that with Paul Hornung. Yeah, exactly, yeah. But I'm happy he's in. I'm unhappy that I am not seeing enough love from the city of Detroit. Yes, I know your lines have been crap, but come on, guys. That was a weak argument saying, "Hey, come on," but seriously, come on.
I mean, come on. I mean, this is a hill that if this is the hill that, freaking Lomas Brown has to climb, I mean, geez.
Lomas
Make sure
Brown,
you get
yeah,
him on.
Lomas Brown. Yeah, I think he's going to be the patron saint of our site. Lomas Brown, the man who can't even become a preliminary nominee.
No, Ruben Brown.
Ruben Brown.
That guy.
I knew it was a Brown. Brown, D'Lo Brown, Bad News Brown, Encyclopedia Brown. I got the Brown part right.
Yeah, Lomas Brown is the guy that it works for Detroit radio, and even though he was a 8-time All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro, and can't even go through he can't even be a semifinalist yet.
A preliminary.
No, Ruben Brown. Ruben Brown was a 9-time Pro Bowler and a 4-time All-Pro. Ruben Brown can't advance to a preliminary. Lomas Brown has. Ruben Brown can't even sniff preliminary.
Must be the name. There's some racism here. All right, all you left-wing socialists, there you go. Pile on that. After Karras, we got Vern Llewellyn. He did not make it to the next round. I think he will at some point.
Llewellyn, I think, votes with Dilwig, so I think you need Dilwig.
Yeah, I agree. Because they won't put them both at the same time.
Because I think Dilwig needs to come first, and then Llewellyn I think will follow afterwards.
Yep. So next up, I want to give a major shout out to yourself, Tommy Nobis. Not just yourself, but a few other people. For whatever reason, and you and I have talked about this many times, the Atlanta fan base of sports, unless it's college football, you're not great. This is a legend. This is someone who was huge, and you're not pounding on this. Why?
Because they think, we've been shut down so many times, we can't do it anymore. Okay, so if Broncos fans, I understand, there's a lot more heartbreak with Denver. With Atlanta, I get it. I know, but at the same time, the Browns have been shit for so long. They've been bad for so long. Have been awful. The city of Cleveland waited 5 decades to get another championship, and they didn't care. Hell, look at them. They're still advocating for Clay Matthews Jr., and the last time the Browns had won a championship was 1964, for God's sake.
Yeah. Atlanta, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's heartbreaking, but I've been doing this for a long time, but the person who I see pounding Nobis and Matt Ryan the hardest is someone from New York City who is not a Falcons fan. I meant you.
Well, I'm not really from New York City. I'm from Long Island.
Oh, whatever. For a Canadian, it's all the same.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah.
like I know the damn difference.
Yeah, it's sad. It really is sad. And honestly, they should be ashamed of themselves. The fact that they're just so passive. They make themselves look bad, and they prefer to complain as opposed to campaign because they think it can't happen, even though it actually can.
Of course it can. It totally can. It totally can. I mean, and they got him to this point. Or, actually, I don't want to say they got him. Nobis getting here, I don't think had a whole lot to do with a whole lot of people pounding the drum in Atlanta. I really don't.
No. I know. I think Gratishard's here because of that.
Yeah. Well, and he should be. And I think that's sort of like where just a lot of logical football fans sort of like put him here in this discussion. But, again, and I hate the Falcons. I'm a Saints fan. I am conditioned to hate the Falcons, and I want Tommy Nobis in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Man, I can't believe a Saints fan wants to see a former Falcon legend, Mr. Falcon, get in.
Because I'm logical.
I know
it's that simple. It's that simple. Like, is he a great player? Yes. Is he a Pro Football Hall of Famer? Yes. Is he synonymous with the team I hate? Yes. It can all exist.
Well, technically, he's not a Hall of Famer yet. So,
well, you know what I'm saying.
Of course, I know what you mean by that. But yeah, like again, Atlanta, shame on you. You should be ashamed of this because I'm honestly placing a lot of this blame on you for not pounding the drum more because you honestly acted like you didn't care at all, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, no, they should. They should. It's a horrible sports city. I don't know why. Whatever. I can go on to that for another time. I don't want to. Let's move on because this one is going to like make us talk. Drew Pearson, you and I both watched him not get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and this is where I want to take a complete dump on the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I love it. You and I, we talked Hall of Fame. How long have we been doing this? What, 2 years? You and I?
We've been doing this for 1 year.
Okay, 1 year. But either way, you pay attention to not just the Pro Football Hall of Fame, to all Hall of Fames, as do I.
I know.
Yeah, and the thing that sort of bothered me the most is how they sort of treated Drew Pearson. Not yes and no. Yes, in the point that clearly they were, what's the word I want to look for? A bit duplicitous when they told some people that they were getting in, because when we watched that Hall of Fame show, Pearson wide receiver, Carmichael wide receiver, Carmichael is on the show, so he's getting a bit of that rub. And if I'm Drew Pearson and they film that along with whatever sort of like a TV station in Dallas, they're watching that. So did they have any reason to think that he was going to get in, or did they have no information? But like, if I'm Drew Pearson and the rest of that camp, and I see Harold Carmichael, who's sort of like similar credentials, go on the NFL Network, I'm thinking, I'm fucked.
Well, not only that, Gary Myers said this, but he was crazy enough that Gary Myers, of all people, was the most transparent. I mean, it's so weird. And, what Pearson, there was no debate between Carmichael and Pearson. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Why?
Right, yeah.
Why was there no discussion? They were both on the All-Decade team. Do they not want to add another Cowboy player? I mean, this guy was first-team All-Decade. You cannot tell the story of the Dallas Cowboys without mentioning the Hail Mary. You can't. You literally cannot. Mm-hmm. And who caught it? It was Drew Pearson. Now, that's not saying, he caught a big play. That means I should want David Tyree in the whole thing. No, I mean, not.
Sorry. That's funnier than that should be, but yeah, go on.
No, but Drew Pearson made it first-team All-Decade. I mean, that puts him in, like, a legendary class. And, he sees Carmichael make it, and
that had to break his heart. That had to break his heart. But I'll play devil's advocate. At some point, maybe you don't have a film crew there to watch this happen, because it could go the other way. Because right after that, or because right before that, you said like they did him dirty. Did he have any reason to think maybe he was getting in?
He thought he was for sure making it, but I do think, even though it was cruel, at the same time, I think this was necessary. Because when was the last time you saw someone live publicly what was like when they got...
Yeah, we talked about that. Never. I can't think of one.
Exactly. And you saw him afterwards, and you saw Gradishar. I mean, Gradishar's was not live. Pearson's was. And you could just see the raw emotion from that guy's face. And for every one of those Broncos fans that have the audacity and the nerve to say it's just Steelers and Cowboys, look what's trending on Twitter. It ain't Gradishar.
Yeah. And that's a valid point. That's a very valid point. And I don't know. It's one of the things, I watch it over and over again. I was like, why am I watching this car crash? But I kept trying to look, like, is there something I'm missing? Like, what did he think that wasn't there, or that it was possibly told? Nothing. Maybe he just sort of like brought this on himself. I don't know. I really don't know. And again, like you and I both said, 10 of these people deserved it. 20 of those people deserved it. So 10 of them were going to get the other end of that shaft.
And I think as the whole public, as people like you and me that follow the Hall of Fame as closely as we do, this let everyone know we finally got a chance to see what it's like on that other side.
Yeah.
Because we only see the positive side. We never see the negative side. We never see the negative side. And now we saw the negative side, and it blew up all over social media.
Yes,
Everyone
it did.
was talking about it. Hell,
yes, it did.
You made an article on Drew Pearson's snub in particular. It wasn't in Gratis, it wasn't on Dilwig, it wasn't on Brent, it was on Pearson.
Oh, you read it. Thank you. But yeah, no, I did, because it did sort of like transfix a few things, and it just showed off a few things that they could have done a little bit more transparent. And I don't want to completely dump on Canton. I think the Pro Football Hall of Fame does things a lot better than most of the big sports Hall of Fames. I really do. But there's a lot of room for improvement. There really is. Let's move on. Donny Shale got in. No shock there. I'm happy there's another steel curtain. Thoughts?
Down with that. Even though that L.C. Greenwood would be the one I'd probably go first, at the same time, Donny Shale he's also another thing. Donny Shale was an undrafted player. He also had more interceptions than Harris. And he was right by Blunt's side, and also Donny Shale is a very massive advocate for historically black universities. Very big to this day.
Good point. Yeah, I was very happy for Shale, and I'm 1,000% with you. LC is my top Steeler not in, but I'm not upset that Donnie's in over him. I can't be.
No, and even then, Donnie had a really, really big rise, and there were some people saying LC or Donnie. Now it's completely LC. So
yep.
At least they broke that. Now they can focus completely on LC Greenwood.
Exactly. Your number one guy, since we first started talking about a year ago, is in Duke Slater. First off, before you go into how happy you are about him, thank you for introducing me to the greatness of Duke Slater.
No problem. And yes, in case you're wondering, when I did see him get in, I screamed my lungs off.
Yeah, how'd your roommates handle that?
Well, this was at my house.
Okay, so it was all right.
No one was around except for my dog. He was in the other room though. But I was happy for Duke Slater that my most wanted guy finally made it.
Yep.
This is a guy that played in the 1920s, and that was the guy that thought he'd make it. I wasn't even that sure because how much they know, but I was so touched the fact that a person, not a player, a person, a guy that never missed a game due to injury, a guy that was a 7-time All-Pro, a guy who most of his career was the only black player in the league, a guy who was the very first black lineman in the league, a guy when he was still playing got his law degree, a guy that he was responsible for several rushing records. He's in finally, and now when it comes to guys and players that really changed the way like black African Americans in football, Hank Younger, you're next. You were the very first player from a historically black college to make it. You were phenomenal with the Rams of the 40s and 50s. And when you retired, you became the first ever black team executive. You're next. But it would never have happened if Slater would have made it.
Right. And, from what I've learned about Slater, I'm super happy for that. Learning that this was sort of like one of the biggest omissions. And it really is. So super happy for all the fans of Duke Slater. Moving on, Cleveland, who doesn't seem to be noticing, Max Speedy's in. Pay attention.
This is what it is. Cleveland, you just see like the tumbleweed. But instead of that, for Cleveland, you see people saying, thank God Art Modell didn't make it.
Yeah, true. So true.
which is disgusting. Cleveland again, it's pretty disgusting, honestly. And then someone who doesn't even follow the Browns. Well, I follow everyone, but yay, Max Speedy's in! Max Speedy's in! I was screaming. I was so happy that Max Speedy made it because I wasn't even sure he'd made it because I thought, Dilwick would make it. And I was so happy Speedy would make it because I thought Slater would make it. I did not think Speedy would make it, even though I wanted him so badly. And Speedy made it after those years of being screwed over because, Paul Brown had a grudge against him. At the end, he finally made it, and I was very, very touched to see that.
No, it is, and I wish the city of Cleveland would sort of give him a little bit more love. And it's not a shot to those in Cleveland who aren't, but for the most part, you're not. Moving on, we have one final inductee, Ed Sprinkle, Chicago Bears.
Oh, I love this one. I saw some people say that, Sprinkle, don't know about him, he weakens it. How the hell could you say that Ed Sprinkle, by any stretch of the imagination, waters down any class? Because he was the guy that George Halas, you know George Halas, one of the founders of the NFL, a guy that founded the Bears and someone who was their coach for their first 50 years of existence, essentially. He literally went on record and said that Sprinkle was the greatest pass rusher he ever saw play. And Sprinkle was known as the meanest man in football, and he was the reason why people give attention to defensive players. He is the reason for that.
When you call someone the meanest man in football, I don't care what era it is, that's awesome.
Not only that, you have a name like Sprinkle.
Yeah, there's something to that. The only one left who didn't get that when we're going alphabetically is Al Wister.
I was a little bit disappointed. I did think Wister would make it because Clark Judge was saying, Wister's definitely going to make it this year. There's no question that Wister will make it, and he missed it. So, yeah. No. I'm sad that Wister make it. However, Carmichael made it, so it's not like Eagles fans are that upset because, you still got an Eagle that made it anyway. Wister, I think he is high on my list. This is the guy that was on the very first ever Hall of Very Good class. And he's one of the guys that I've asked Ken Crippen. He even said, even though he really, really wanted Slater and Speedy, he said if he had to choose only two of the four guys, that he would have had Dilwick and Wister. And that's words coming from a guy that follows this stuff more than anyone else. And he literally said that he was super happy for Speedy and Slater, but he said he would have chosen Dilwick and Wister first. Dilwick and Speedy and Slater, but he would have rather had Dilwick and Wister first.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that all of these guys are going to make it in. So let's just move on to the coaches, where I think there is... And again, we're a couple weeks behind on this, and that's my fault, so I apologize. So there was 8 coaches who were nominated for this in this class, in the finalist class. Don Coryell, Bill Cowher, Tom Flores, Mike Holmgren, Jimmy Johnson, Buddy Parker, Dan Reeves, Dick Vermeil. And you and I, we were talking about this quite a bit often. I'm happy for the 2 guys, which again, for those not aware, it's Jimmy Johnson and Bill Cowher. Having said that, both of them had TV opportunities. The first with Cowher during was it the semifinals?
CBS.
Okay.
CBS.
CBS. Was that the semis or the finals? No, semis. Okay. So it was the semis of the AFC Championship.
He was, Cowher had the largest winning percentage of the guys that were finalists. And now, don't get me wrong, Cowher was clearly deserving. I know that people say it takes a team to win a championship, but at the same time, people say that if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. But the Steelers always had a revolving door, and they always did it. And Jimmy Johnson, he created the 90s Cowboys dynasty, pulled off the trade, and he also changed the way that we draft. I think both of them are deserving, and Jerry, please put Jimmy in the Ring of Honor, for God's sake. But honestly, optics alone, you literally cannot argue. I mean, Cowher and Johnson were probably added just to promote it on CBS and Fox.
Well, and that's where I'm with you, because like optics, when it comes to that, these are two people who. All right, let's just go back here, because Don Coryell and Tom Flores have both been finalists before, and
yes,
so
they were actually finalists last year. Johnson
right.
was also a finalist too.
Right. Okay, but if you were sort of like trying to pick a visual hierarchy, it would have been Coryell 1 and Flores 1A.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you're doing that and you've got these two people at that spot, you're expecting, that's what I expected, that they're sort of like the front runners for this role. And that doesn't necessarily mean that's how it has to play out. And I get that. Having said that, Coryell's passed on. Tom Flores is not on television. Now, you've got somebody, David Baker, the CEO or president? I'm blanking on his title. President, thank you.
President.
All right, so president of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And when he came out, it was a week and a half ago, let's say 2 weeks from when this is going to air, show up on CBS television. CBS television, and announces Bill Cowher. And I had Cowher as my dark horse. I have no problem, and I want to make this very clear. I have no problem with Bill Cowher in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think he's fantastic. I think he earns it. I don't think that he earned it over the other two that I mentioned. And when he got there, okay, fine. But it sort of felt a little, what's the word I'm looking for?
A shill?
Yeah, okay, a shill, a bit of a shill, a bit of somebody who was trying to get in. Evan, who participates in this a lot, put on Twitter on my feed. He said straight up, like, David Baker's doing his best to sort of like get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And and he said that. Didn't say that before Jimmie Johnson. He said that after the whole Bill Cowher thing. And then sure enough, right after, when Jimmie Johnson got that, yeah, but he got that at halftime, as I'm sure you noticed, not the pregame like Cowher did.
Yeah.
And so like, because you and I were talking, a bit, like sending a few messages, like, okay, if Jimmie Johnson doesn't have that before that, he's not getting in. And then he did, and I will say this. I like Jimmie Johnson for the Pro Football Hall of Fame too. I really do. I just don't like him before those other two.
No, me neither. And and with Cowher and Johnson, it's just a shame too because both of them are clearly without a doubt deserving. It's just that we're not going to be thinking about that. We're going to think of them as, oh, they were just added because they're with the evil media. And I hate that. But that's what people are going to look at. They're not going to see those two getting it as legitimate. They aren't because
no, it's so true. It's like when people are saying, like, especially the Raiders fans, and you and I, we've talked so much about how, I don't want to say mutual dislike for Raiders fans, but mutual dislike of their hypocrisy, which is more accurate. Yeah. But when they're saying, like, okay, they got in because they're on television over Flores, I can't argue that.
No, I can't. And, I can't argue that because I do think, Flores and Coryell were the two guys that people wanted to tell, even some voters.
Because the exact voters from that one group. Now, this is and again, we should specify here. The voters here of the Blue Ribbon Committee, they're not the same voters for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Not all of them. Half of them were, but half of them are regular voters. The other half are.
Okay, but not all of them.
Keep in mind.
Yeah.
John Madden, keep in mind, John Madden was also a voter as well. So he has bigger ties. His mentor was Coryell, and he gave the torch as Raiders head coach to Flores. So what does it say about John Madden in terms of him campaigning for the two guys that everyone wanted?
Mm-hmm. And again, I don't want to play conspiracy theorist, but I'm going to. There's a very large part of me wondering, like, All right, there's David Baker here thinking like, all right, I can be on television twice.
And people are criticizing him for that, and I agree. I like David Baker. I really do think the guy is down to earth, but, and with anyone, when I see something that's, wrong, I'm going to call it out. Like, dude, people thought you looked selfish, and honestly,
and I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
You look selfish there, Dave. You look selfish. You look extremely selfish there. And it's a shame because I really like David Baker as a person, but that people saw that. And, yeah, there are many stupid people, but people aren't that stupid because they were able to call that out with Flores and Coryell because, hell, and though I should mention that some of the other voters, that regular voters that did not vote, I got to say, you deserve some of the blame as well. You deserve some of the blame as well because you all had a chance to put in both Coryell and Flores last year. Both of them. They were both finalists. And you didn't. You didn't. I understand they're with the players, and they're not going to be with they're not with the players anymore. They're in their own separate categories. But come on, man. You got to get some responsibility. You can't just start blaming others just because it didn't go the way you wanted. If you truly cared about them as much as you like to pretend you did, you would have pushed harder for them, and you would have made sure they made it last year, and you didn't. Shame on you, and you deserve as much blame, if not even more blame, than the Blue Ribbon Committee.
Do you think they'll sort of like push harder now? Because I would think they would.
Yeah. Yes. If you don't, it looks very, very negatively. And Vito Stellino, I do think the biggest snub out of coach that were not finalists was Clark Shaughnessy, the father of the T formation. He was upset that Buddy Parker, actually he's number 4, he's right below Flores. My top 4 is Coryell, Shaughnessy, Flores, Parker. He was annoyed that Buddy Parker and Clark Shaughnessy were not finalists. In the case of Shaughnessy, he wasn't even a finalist. But, you could have pushed harder, Vito. You have the world at your fingertips. You were also complaining that Ralph Hay didn't make it as a contributor. But you could still push for this stuff. You have the world at your fingertips. You can show them. You could literally show the entire world why Ralph Hay is deserving. And you talk a big game, you say it, and you don't do anything. And it makes you look bad.
Well, so with that, I guess we're going to be talking next week with a reaction show of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Quick prediction. And I'll say this to any bettors. Whatever Vinny says, don't bet on them. Because you're always wrong, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, it's all right. It's okay. So am I. San Francisco versus Kansas City. Who are you picking?
Before that, I just want to say congratulations to Paul Tatley-Boo, Steve Stable, and George Young for making it as contributors. You all deserve. We're all high. I'm happy that Tatley-Boo made it because he wouldn't have made it with the regular voters, so I'm happy they got it past them. So I kind of smudged in their face. And Sable and Young, no question in my mind. I just hope that, Hay, Adams, Murchison, Kilroy, McNally, Modell, and even my boy Carol Rosenblum who's on there. My boy Carol Rosenblum. I think they have better chances in the future, and I really do think that we will see a bit of large classes, like class of 9 maybe, or even 10, maybe as soon as next year. What do you think about that, Kirk?
No, maybe. It could very well happen. I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping it's a much larger class going forward.
And if it's just a little bit, if it doesn't get even one more, people are going to be furious, and I think we have every right to.
They're always going to be furious, but I do think it's a valid point.
Yeah, don't worry, we're not going to stop. But as for who I think is going to win between the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers, I want to pick the 49ers because I really like their defense.
All right, I'm putting money on Kansas City now.
I'm not, and in case you're wondering, I'm not sure if it might be intentional, but, I do like their defense a lot. And I'm sure, their defense could definitely play a role into preventing Reed from the Super Bowl title that he needs in his illustrious career. So that way I could, push for Reed without being shamed.
It's all good. You're only going to be shamed if you push for Kaepernick.
Oh, no, I'm not pushing for Kaepernick. Though I would not be shocked if some people do want to push for Kaepernick, and if you say otherwise, you're automatically racist.
But that's a story for another day, as Hammy Hamster used to say. All right, so we'll be talking next week.
Thank you so much, Kirk. Even though that you could say I was a little disappointed to do it again, but honestly, I think it worked out for the better because I think our second take so much better, and we got more out. And
absolutely,
more
yeah.
emotion.
Yeah. Thumbs up for take 2.
Thumbs up for take 2, even though you can't see it. I'm holding my thumb up right now.
Sounds good, my friend. All right, you know where to visit in the Caribbean.
What?
I said you know where to visit in the Caribbean.
Yeah, except to pay for the Barbados.
Well, there's that.
And you know, this is for more inductees later, and I can't wait because people want to see more seniors, people want to see more coaches, people want to see more contributors.
Mm-hmm.
People want it. That's what people are passionate about. Go for it. And also, I can't wait to see who wins the Super Bowl. And most importantly for me, I cannot wait to see who makes it, and also for both my upsetment and enjoyment to see what people will be upset about missed it because, like I said, don't complain, just campaign.
Oh, I like that. And in the words of that ghost in Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come.
Yes, except I'm not Shoeless Joe Jackson.
No, not yet.
Oh, and also I should mention this: when people respect Shoeless Joe Jackson miles more than people voting for the Baseball Hall of Fame, that tells you that a lot of bad things actually. And I see Joe Jackson in 2. I don't care.
All right, man. So, talk to you next week.
Thanks, Kirk. See you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.